joining us now on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. He is a proud new member of the Pro Football Network. And, of course, if you are watching that, their draft coverage is outstanding, getting you ready for the draft. And he joins me now here on the Sports Bash. Trey Wingo is here with us on 97.3 ESPN. Trey, welcome back. How you been?
Good, Mike. How are you?
We're doing great. The fact that the Eagles have the 6th pick in the draft has made the draft a lot more intriguing than it's been in recent years here. I want to ask you, the Eagles have the 6th pick of the draft 3 years after winning the Super Bowl. How did it get to this point?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I've actually asked a couple of guys from that team that have been on my podcast, Lane Johnson and Chris Long, and they're still trying to figure it out, right? Like, it's so weird how quickly we forget. I mean, the Eagles played in Super Bowl 15. They played in Super Bowl 39, and they get to 52. They only won one of those. And, 3 years later, the coach and the quarterback have both been run out of town. And look, life comes at you fast. There's no question. But it was amazing how quickly the fall was for the team that thought they had. I mean, when they won Super Bowl 52, if I'm not mistaken, they had almost everybody coming back, locked in as starters. And, obviously the injuries to Wentz and then his precipitous decline as a talent in 2020 were a big part of that. But it's amazing how quickly it all unraveled. I wish I had an easy answer for you. And the answer is I don't.
It is one of the weirder ones. By the way, that podcast is the Half Forgotten History. It's great. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you check that podcast out with Trey. It's a really cool concept, by the way. You're doing stuff with Pro Football Network now. You're kind of a content creator, brand ambassador, which means you love the draft. We love the draft. The Eagles have the 6th pick in the draft. So let's kind of zone in on that because it's interesting. They have this huge fall. They just traded their quarterback. There's a lot of quarterbacks in this draft. So do you take a quarterback?
I mean, there's no reason why you say you can't, and if someone that they believe is really good is available there, although, you're hearing all these things that we can go top 4 quarterbacks. Like, let's just be clear about one thing, Mike. The quarterback is the most overdrafted position in football right now because how important it is, right? The NFL is really about 4 positions right now. Quarterback, guy protecting the quarterback, guy catching the ball from quarterback, guy trying to sack the quarterback. I mean, those are the positions. All the other ones are great too, don't get me wrong, but those are the things you need to be successful in the NFL. So you just had I would have told you that I loved what the Eagles did last year in the draft. Like, it didn't work out, but I'm telling you that Jalen Reagor as a wide receiver was screaming up draft boards prior to the draft. Like, the intel that the Eagles had on him as a first-round pick was the same as almost every other team in terms of how much he was coveted there. And I actually really liked the pick of Jalen Hurts in the 2nd round. Obviously, Carson Wentz didn't, and other people didn't as well, but I didn't think it was a reach. Now, I do think it's interesting that they've decided to move on from Carson, maybe for a variety of reasons, including taking a $34 million dead cap hit this year after such a small sample size of Jalen Hurts. I don't think anybody can say with great definitiveness based on what we saw in 2020, oh, he's definitely the guy going forward. Not saying he can't be, but I just don't think you can make that conclusion. So, no, I can't rule out the idea of them taking a quarterback at 6.
That being said, you said some of the best, the 4 positions. You included the guy catching the ball. There's a lot of those in this draft. Yeah. You're at number 6. Do you just say, I'm staying there and I'm taking one of those? And I want to ask you, Trey, are you including Kyle Pitts in that conversation at number 6?
Yeah, because I think he's going to be a transcendent player, and the way he transitions to the NFL is, look, I mean, I'm sure he will block if you need him to, but we're looking at a Travis Kelce type player who can block, but you want him for different things. Like, you're not picking Kelce because he can block. He blocks, it's a bonus. He can do all the other things that are very explosive. Same thing with George Kittle and all these really good tight ends in the NFL. Like, the blocking is fine, but you're really having him for creating those mismatches across the field wherever he spots up. So, yeah, I would include Kyle Pitts in that situation. The Eagles are fascinating. Like, they were so good and so set up after Super Bowl 52. And my God, if Nelson Aguilar doesn't drop that pass against the Saints,
Alshon Jeffrey.
They may be going. Alshon Jeffrey. That's exactly right. I don't need any more shame in Philadelphia for dropping passes. I want to be clear about that. If he doesn't drop that pass, they're in the NFC Championship game for a second straight year, in my opinion. So, life comes at you so fast these days in the NFL. But I know this much, right? The teams that constantly just change the quarterback don't do very well, right? Just look at how the Jets did after they drafted Sam Darnold and what the Bills did after they drafted Josh Allen in the same draft. The Bills said, we believe that we found our guy. So let's make sure we can do whatever we can to put him in the best position to succeed. His second year, we got him Cole Beasley in free agency. Helps him with easy throws underneath, ups his completion percentage, which was a problem. Then they went out and got John Brown, and he's now left, but he was a speed burner, and they were in contention. They got into the postseason that next year. Then they make the trade for Stephon Diggs. They draft well and pick a tight end in Dawson Knox. And suddenly we're talking about Josh Allen, whose question mark was accuracy coming out of college, into an MVP-type player. Now, what would Sam Darnold be if the Jets had done that for him instead of what they've done? Like, the one thing that I think is the mistake that most franchises make is, well, we'll just get the quarterback and that'll change everything. No, I mean, like, to me, Patrick Mahomes is a unicorn. I've said that. I think he's going to go down in the Hall of Fame already. I think he's going to be phenomenal. But we saw what happens if you can't protect him. You have to put players around these quarterbacks. And I think that's the thing that you need to be careful of if you're always just changing quarterbacks.
Trey Wingo's with us. Trey hosts the Pro Football Network Draft Insiders with Tony Pauline on the PFN YouTube channel, and he has joined Pro Football Network as a brand ambassador contributor for all the draft coverage, which is coming up. So we got all these wide receivers now. You mentioned a lot about Pitts. You said you liked Rager last year. There was a lot of wide receivers in that draft. So
yeah.
How do you kind of look at really the guys, the two Bama kids, and, of course, Jamar Chase, who didn't play this year, which kind of adds a wrinkle to this whole discussion?
Well, before we get into that, let me just say, everybody made a big deal about last year's draft because it was virtual and all that kind of stuff and how crazy it was. But the only thing that changed last year was the presentation of the draft. Like this year's draft, the run-up to it is insane. We have, as you said, players that opted out that are probably going the top 5 picks in Jamar Chase, Rashawn Slater, the kid out of Northwestern. You know, a lot of these guys opted out. So you're factoring that into with a year away from football, how are they going to be? Then you have teams that played 11 or 12 games, and you're evaluating teams that have played 6 or 7 games.
You got the quarterback who played 1 game.
Yeah, exactly. Trey Lance. Exactly. And he could go a top 5 pick. If I'm a talent evaluator, a scout, or a general manager, or a personnel guy, this draft scares the bleep out of me because every draft is a crapshoot. First round talent, it's like a 50-50 hit ratio, right? 50%. Well, now there's a kid in Miami named Gregory Rousseau who played 1 year at rush and hybrid outside edge player at Miami. He was a high school quarterback and tight end, opted out of 2020, and you're going back on 1 year of high-level college football, and you're determining whether or not he's worth a 17th, 18th overall pick. That's frightening. It's frightening. We didn't have a combine. We didn't have any of this stuff. So it's a really, this draft, people made a big deal out of last year's draft because of how it was delivered. The run-up and the scouting process to this year's draft is crazy.
Yeah, well, you have Micah Parsons, didn't play, Caleb Farley. Not only did he not play, he's now hurt.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to be drafting in this spot. What is your you've covered the NFL for a long time. When I say Howie Roseman, the name around here is, it's not polarizing, it's hatred. The people hate the man, yet when you look in these, league rankings of executives, he's always ranked in the top 10, number 5. He was number 1 year. And when I explain that to people, they hate the man. So is it warranted that he is unliked by this fan base?
Well, here's the deal. There's 2 sides to every coin, right? I think you have to agree that Howie made a ton of right moves in getting in the right people to win that Super Bowl. That's part of his legacy. He was the one that, let's go get Chris Long. Let's go get what's his face, the running back that came over from the Patriots that year out of Boise State. Yeah, LeGarrette Blount. He was the one that picked those guys. So that's fair. Got Malcolm Jenkins.
Well, I will tell you, Trey, that a lot of people here feel that he wasn't responsible for those, that it was Joe Douglas that was able to get those players to come here.
Completely fair. But, the title, it's like I don't believe wins and losses are a quarterback stat, but they get assigned it anyway, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, like, what you're saying may be accurate, but the title was, this is what he did.
And we don't
know.
The other side, we don't know who's. Yeah.
Right. And the other side of this, which is really interesting to me, is that, like, I remember before the Eagles made the big trade for Carson Wentz, right? And they moved up all these picks again. There was a quote from Howie Roseman that said, historically, this really doesn't work out for the team that makes this move to get him. And then they do it under his watch, and then it works out, and then, of course, it implodes. So, yeah, I think there's understanding resentment for Howie, but it also comes along with, whether you like it or not, he was at the helm of the ship when you landed the biggest prize in franchise history.
Yeah, I will tell you, most people would say, like it or not would be the answer for many people. I feel like
understandable.
I get stuck in, like, I'm kind of like the defender, but it's not even like, I'm just trying to be real. Like, the guy has everything he does isn't the worst thing in the world. Has he missed in the draft? Yes, they have missed. They've done some good things. I said the Eagles franchise, Trey, since he's been here, they have one back-to-back losing season. One. They went 7-9 in back-to-back years. That's it. I mean, the owner would say, we have had a track record of success. Why would I get rid of this guy? He might not have gotten the ultimate prize enough for people, but they have a level of success in this league that is hard to do.
Well, it's funny you say that, right? Because it's like Cubs fans that are upset that they're not winning the World Series every year. I'm like, you hadn't won since 1908. 2016, that can simmer for a while. I mean, I get it. Suddenly the Eagles win one Super Bowl. Now they think they should win every year. It ain't that easy, man. Like, just ask the Chiefs, who I thought were set up better than anybody to repeat as Super Bowl champs, and it all fell apart because their offensive line fell apart. So,
yes,
look, the sustained success is something that is really, really hard to do in the NFL. 2020 sucked for the Eagles across the board. Carson Wentz was a part of the problem. Doug Peterson was a part of the problem. Howie Roseman was a part of the problem. But the best franchises, like you said, find a way to get past that one bad season and put together more good seasons. And you could make the argument, whether you like him or like it or not, that's what's happened under his tutelage.
Okay, Trey Wingo, Pro Football Network. The NFC East has made some interesting moves. They were the worst division in football last year. Fitzpatrick is now in. Dak is now back. The Giants have made moves. How do you see this NFC East? Will it still be the worst in football?
Who the hell knows, right? Like, last year, the whole conversation was going into the NFC East. Oh, it's clearly Dallas or Philadelphia, and Washington and New York. They're terrible. Well, who are the two teams that had a shot when it was all said and done? The New York Football Giants and the Washington Football Team. So I would look, I'll be honest with you. I think the Cowboys are going to be really good this year. I do. I thought they were going to be really good last year. Obviously, Dak Prescott got hurt. That changed things, and their defense, to quote Bart Scott, couldn't stop a nosebleed. But I think they've gotten better, and I think that they're going to be okay. So, I mean, yeah, I feel decent about it, but it's a total crapshoot, man. Like, if you would have told me, okay, the Washington Football Team is going to go through disaster after disaster in terms of an organizational standpoint off the field. They're going to hire a head coach who's going to get cancer during the season and is going to find a way to do it. They're going to go through multiple quarterback changes and eventually find a guy who basically should only have one leg, and Alex Smith out there, saved by miraculous surgeries. He's going to come out there and lead them to the playoffs. I would have told you you're crazy. So, look, I have these inklings and I have these feelings, but if anybody says they know, they're full of you-know-what that was eaten after the Eagles Super Bowl parade.
All right, we'll leave on that note. Trey Wingo, Pro Football Network. The draft coverage is on their YouTube channel. Tony Pauline. Trey has joined PFN as a brand ambassador and contributor, and that is 9 o'clock on the PFN YouTube channel, leading you up to the NFL draft. 1 month from Monday is when you can hear the draft right here on 97.3 ESPN. Trey, good to see you, man.
Mike, always a pleasure. Take care.
All right, he, like August, appeared via the Boardwalk Honda hotline.